Under the executive order I signed last month, this new beautiful outdoor statue park, it's going to be a statue park. It's going to be unbelievable. We're picking the final sites now. It's between various states that want it very badly. We'll honor hundreds of our greatest Americans to ever live, including countless Black Americans, icons. The garden will predominantly feature incredible women like Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin, and Coretta Scott King. And I will showcase extraordinary. It will be something very extraordinary. It's going to be producing, we're going to produce some of the most beautiful works of art in the form of a statue from men like Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Jackie Robinson, what a great athlete that was, Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali, he's not a bad athlete. What do you think, Muhammad? Not too bad. And the late Kobe Bryant. People love Kobe Bryant.
All right, Shalom. This is the brother Nahalia from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwath is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yasher Allah is Israel in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. This is Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 17. And it reads, "As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us." All right, and I want to go into a lesson inspired by the news of Trump, creating a park, if you will, with prominent so-called Black figures, what he would term as heroes. All right, and this is an example of a symbolic victory. All right, and this is inspired by a quote that Malcolm X said, where he basically said that the so-called white man would give you symbolic victories in place of real change. And this is an example of that. We had a lot of Jakes who voted for, Trump. All right. And either way, whether you vote left or right, you're voting for a different horn on the same beast. And I want to go into this definition here. It says a symbolic victory is an event that represents a significant change, but has little practical effect. Because a lot of our people who are novice, or ignorant, for lack of a better term, they'll see this and they'll think it's a sign of progress, that things have changed around us. But when you look at the numbers, nothing has actually changed for our people on the ground level. You judge the quality of your people by the life of the average member of your nation, not the exception. All right. And our people have been seduced into believing that these symbolic victories somehow represent real change. All right. And this is why I went to Lamentations, the 4th chapter. And I want to read this in the NLT. It says, "We looked in vain for our allies to come and save us, but we were looking to nations that could not help us." All right. And this is why Esau Edom will give our people these symbolic victories. They'll prop up a guy like Jay-Z or LeBron James, or they'll prop up this statues of so-called Black heroes, all right, to distract you from the fact that you haven't received any real change on this side. All right, that Esau Edom is not in the business of actually giving you real change. All right, and that's why the Lord has the remnant set up who no longer need the validation of the so-called white man. All right, 2/3 of our people are still searching for that. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 20. And I'll read this in the NLT. It says, "In that day, the remnant left in Israel, the survivors in the house of Jacob, will no longer depend on allies who seek to destroy them, but they will faithfully trust the Lord, the Holy One of Yasher Allah." All right. And that is what the remnant will do. While 2/3 of our people, this announcement from Trump, for some of them, it satiates them into believing that this is a symbol of progress, that Trump is actually for them. All right. Trump isn't even for his own people. He really seduced the average so-called white person into voting for him, but he's really in the business of protecting the elites. He's not in the business of enriching the common Edomite, but that's the dream that he sold them. All right, and the scriptures talk about that. Let's go here. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 14 and verse 5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. All right, and at this point, when you look at the administration of Trump, they're moving to isolate themselves from Europe. They're also moving to put in these policies where the employees in America have less rights. All right, and that's a direct window into basically the business owners being able to fire people without cause. All right, these are things that he's putting in place to protect the rich class, the elite class, while selling people on these interviews and at these press conferences, selling this idea that he's pushing a agenda to make America great again. Really, he's doing this to enrich the elites. All right, and this is another example of that, of pushing out this symbolic victory of, we acknowledge your efforts, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and what you did to help build this country, All right, and we're going to give you a park with some statues. Thank you. That is our thank you. All right, and this is why the scriptures talk about our people have looked in vain to nations that could not help them. Esau is evil to himself. The so-called white man is evil to himself. All right, he's fought 2 world wars against himself, and he's barking on the third, according to prophecy. So someone who's evil to himself, to whom will he be good? And this is why Esau has, since our people have been let out of chattel slavery, he's been giving our people these symbolic victories, which don't have any real change. There's nothing that Trump has put in the books to actually help you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Quite opposite. He's put certain legislation in the books to make you more of a prey than you already are. All right, let's go here. This is Lamentations chapter 4, and I'm going to continue at verse 18. I'm going to read 17 again. It says, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow, we shall live among the heathen. All right. Verse 21 reads, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. And the reason I want to read verse 21 is because it addresses who this is that is hunting, who this is that is persecuting our steps as a nation of people. Now, the other nations are accessories to the crime. All right. But the main criminal, if you will, is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. And this is why a guy like Trump can give our people these symbolic victories. All right. To make our people believe that we're at a better place. All right. When in actuality, we're actually getting worse. All right. When you look at the numbers, the financial numbers, when you look at even the birth rates. All right. The quality of life, that our people have on this side. When you look at the numbers tell a different story. But Esau will give our people these symbolic victories to make them forget that their reality doesn't reflect the dreams that he's selling. All right. And this is why the Lord has the remnant set up. All right. Now, I want to go here because our people see victory, so-called victories like this, and then they assume, all right, well, now we can put our effort towards, this system, and then we'll get something in return. And that's the dream that our people have been sold since we got let out of chattel slavery. If you just work hard enough, if you just, ignore the racism, that one day the so-called white man will wake up and look at you differently. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 51. And I'm going to jump down to verse 22. It says, thus saith thy Lord, the Lord, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. And our people see this symbolic victory and just, go on to work happy, like we've accomplished something as a people, and we haven't. Especially those jakes who voted for Trump thinking that something is going to change. When you really understand this, when you really understand where we are as a nation of people, it's easy to see why this isn't our rest. All right. It's easy to see who our enemies are as a nation of people. And as the scriptures say, a gift destroyeth the heart, because our people see this and they interpret this as a gift. They interpret this as a sign of acknowledgement. And because our people are so thirsty for the acknowledgement from their enemies, they're willing to take anything. This isn't a victory. Trump telling us he's going to give our people a park with some statues doesn't invoke real change in the lives of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Quite opposite. While he's giving Jake a park, he's giving the Southern Kingdom a park with some statues, he's deporting the Northern Kingdom. And some of the people he's deporting been paying taxes for years. Some of them were, you can argue, were considered citizens. And this shows you through the spirit that 2/3 of our people, the scriptures describe them as lost sheep, because they keep going to their enemies, all right, expecting that one day they'll change. And that's just not the reality. When you saw, there was a press, like a photo op with Trump, and they had a whole bunch of jakes sitting beside Trump, while he signs this park into existence, as if this is a victory, as if we gained something. All right. This is why the scriptures talk about their shepherds pity them not, because a lot of those so-called Negroes in that photo were really just there to enrich themselves personally. All right. And that's the game that our people are playing at this point. They're basically turning into cheap versions of the so-called white man, where they hunt their own people for gain. All right. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Now, when you read this in the NLT, it says extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. And the reason I brought it out in the NLT is because when you deal with the word gift, it really goes into bribes. All right. And anything that you accept in exchange for your integrity is considered a bribe. All right. Because our people have this assumption that, joining the Illuminati or, being with the Rockefellers and all, those are the ones who have taken bribes. No, if you have a gig and you're afraid to preach the word or speak the truth because you're afraid to lose your gig, then that job at that point becomes a bribe. All right. It's not just the ones who are in Hollywood who are accepting bribes or gifts, as the scriptures describe it. And this being some symbolic victory is presented to our people as a gift, but it destroys our people's judgment. This is why people walk around saying that not all Edomites are bad. This is why people walk around with this assumption that there's a few racist Edomites and the rest of them are cool. Because a lot of them along the way have received gifts or bribes from Esau Edom, whether it's a job, even if it's a favor that some Edomite does for you at the job. They may have given you an extra 15 minutes, or they may have given you, they may have paid for your lunch or bought you a drink one day. That is when you really look at it, it's a bribe, because what happens is when our people think about their oppression as a nation, they go back to that personal encounter they had, and then they automatically think or assume that the rest of the Edomites are good. It's just what we see on the news. And that's not the reality. According to prophecy, and when you look at our life as a nation of people, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, has been adversarial. He's been an enemy unto our people. All right. This is why King David said, what? Remember Edom. All right. Because, again, we still live amongst our enemies. And just because they give you some kind of acknowledgement on TV and tell you that they're going to give you a statue of Kobe Bryant, it doesn't mean they love you any more than they did when you got over here. That hate still lives within these Edomites. Matter of fact, this is Psalms chapter 10. This is, man, I'm going to just get the point. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 2. And it reads, "The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity." All right. So whenever the scriptures talk about that, when they do anything good, they do it unwillingly, man. All right. Matter of fact, this is Ecclesiastes 14 and 6. "There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness." Because they give you these symbolic victories while really mocking you. As a nation of people, we're being mocked with these symbolic victories. Yeah, they'll give you a park, but they won't give you any substantial change. When you look at what Trump is implementing, he's taken away a lot of protections for the average buyer of goods. He's taken away certain rights that workers have to fight against their employer in situations where the employer is either firing them for no reason or whatever the case may be. He's removing certain defenses that employees would have. And that's going to largely affect you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. With the start of all of these layoffs, Trump will hop on camera and do these symbolic victories. But in reality, the storm is here. All right. And guys like Trump are never going to address that publicly. They're going to give our people these symbolic victories, and they're going to rock our people to sleep until it's too late. The Lord has sent forth the prophets, beginning with our apostles and elders, to warn our people of Esau. All right. The scriptures say we're not ignorant of his devices, so we see through it. And as the scriptures say, the Lord set up those to warn, yet our people will not take heed. And this is why ultimately our people are led to the slaughter. All right. The scriptures talk about the shepherds pity them not, because at this point, the so-called leaders of our people are enriching themselves by selling our people dreams. All right, let's go there. This is Jeremiah 5. I'm going to jump down to verse 26. It says, "For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap. They catch men." All right, so they've learned the blueprint of Esau, and they implement it. This is why you see these so-called leaders in this photo op with Trump, because they're there to enrich themselves and to sell our people this dream of progress, this dream of equality that our people have been fighting for. Through the Spirit, I was looking it up earlier today. Slavery was like 160 years ago. Like, that was the end of slavery. Slavery ended 160 years ago. You hear this narrative of that was a long time ago. 160 years is not that long ago. And that was the end of chattel slavery, or the official end, because we know that it didn't just end on a clean break in 1865. So 160 years ago, Jake was literally in chains. And what they'll try to do is make you forget about that by giving you a park with some statues. And this is why the Lord said this. All right, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and 1. "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors." This is why the ministry is so important, being on the highways and hedges, because Esau, the average so-called white person, gets a visual. They get to see, the righteous man, Lord willing, would be a part of that number, stand in great boldness and tell them that they're going into slavery and they're going to pay for what they did to us as a nation of people, thus saith the Lord. Because it's a fulfillment of prophecy, as well as the stick, the two sticks becoming one, all right, with the sign of the tribes. That shaking of the hand so that they may go to the gates of the nobles. Because A lot of Edomites will see what Trump did with that park, and they already know what it is. They already know it's a symbolic victory. They already know it's a, let me give the niggas something, even though we're not going to give them anything real. The Edomites know. You know, they call it a dog whistle, where politicians will say certain things and it's meant to, the message is meant for a certain crowd. That whole part with the statues is a symbolic victory, but it's really a mockery of our people. And the Edomites that see it, they know that that's what it is. But when they go on the highways, when they walk in any major city, you have a camp where you have righteous men, Lord willing we be a part of that number, who are standing up in great boldness and telling the so-called white man, those tricks didn't work on everybody. And that's the beauty of prophecy through the spirit. And that's the beauty of this word, that it demolishes these narratives that Esau puts out here. And it's a reminder to the average Edomite that all of our people are not docile. All of our people are not dumb enough to fall for the trick. Because that whole charade of the announcement of a park and, yeah, we're going to put Kobe Bryant in there and we're going to give y'all a statue, that does nothing for our people in reality, man. That's why we're waiting for the Lord to plead our cause. All right. Matter of fact, I'll end it with this. This is Isaiah chapter 19 and 19. It says, in that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. And this is what we're waiting on through the Spirit. This is what we hasten, because we understand that this is all this is going to be if the Lord don't intervene. The so-called white man exploiting you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans and giving you a symbolic victory in exchange. All right. And this is why the scriptures say we're not ignorant of his devices. Yet he's not going to prevent prophecy. No matter what Trump says, prophecy is still going to come to pass. He's still going into World War III. All right. There's still going to be sedition, pestilence. He's going to get close to the chip being fully integrated, and he's going to get close to his whole plan, but he's going to fail. And then he's going to end up going into slavery, beginning with his elites. All right. So while they make mockery of us with these symbolic victories, all right, these fake gifts, we ultimately know that justice is going to be served through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, this is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 30. It says, take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoiced at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word.